Hello friends, you can log on to primeaptacademy.com to access complete free video courses. So this is the data interpretation question from CAT 1999 paper. So question says, these questions are based on the price fluctuations of 4 commodities. Arhar, which is this one, ARHAR, pepper, sugar and gold during February-July 1999 as described in the figures below. So what I'll see is, I'll see each of them. So there are weeks over here. F1, F4 should be meaning February. M3 is March. Maybe A2 is April. A5 is like 5th Feb. Friday it is, right? Everything is a Friday quotation. So 5th Friday of April. Then May, June and July. Something like that. Okay. So all this data is given like this. Over here it is price in rupees per quintal. This price is in rupees per quintal. This is prices in rupees per quintal for each of them. So that is how the data is set. Now, just rub off these things. Now, I have understood how the data is, and this is you get the price for each Friday, okay, for each of them. Now we look at the questions based on this data. The first question says, price change of a commodity is defined as the absolute difference in ending and beginning prices. Absolute difference. Expressed as the percentage of the beginning. Alright. What is the commodity with the highest price change? So price change is what? Absolute value of start price minus end price. Starting minus ending. Divided by starting. Okay. This multiplied by 100 will give you in percentage term. So absolute value of starting minus ending by starting. We have to find that which of them is highest for which of the following. So if you look at Arhar, start is somewhere around 1700 this point and ends at this point. Maybe somewhere around 2150, something like that. So how much it has gained? So it has gained, the difference is 2150 minus 1700. So around about 450. We'll make it a ballpark figure. 450 divided by start is 1700. So for Arhar, it is Arhar A. It is 450 by 1700, the ratio. For sugar S, if you look at it, start and end points are very close. Okay, it is 1440 here. It is slightly less than 1440. So absolute difference for sugar will almost be equal to 0. Will almost be equal to 0. It will not be exactly 0, but because it is 1440 and it is 1430 maybe. So it is 10 upon 1440. Let me write it as like that. Almost equal to 10 upon 1440. Okay, which is very close to 0. For pepper, from 18,500, which is roughly near about that the starting point is, you end at this point, which is, let's say, between 19,000 and 19,500, which is 19,250. So from 18,500 you went to 19,250. So difference is of 750, but your base is 18,500. Okay. And for gold, you start with, like, let's say 4250, because it is 4200 and 4300. So it is 4250 and you're ending here, which is just above 3800. Let's say 3850. So from 4250 and 3850, the change is of almost 400 and your starting point is 4250. Now if you look at it, all these things, this is almost equal to 0. This is definitely ruled out. The highest among them has to be this one, 450 upon 1700. Because over here if I compare Arhar with gold, this is G is gold and this over here P is pepper. If I compare Arhar with gold, if you look at it, the numerator 450 is greater than 400 and the denominator 1700 is less than 4250. So Arhar has to be greater than gold for sure. Sugar is already ruled out because it is very close to 0. Now pepper and Arhar, if I compute, for pepper and Arhar, if you just multiply this by 2, the numerator and denominator in Arhar, the numerator becomes 900 and the denominator becomes 3400. So it is 900 by 3400. Now if I compare 900 by 3400 by this, 900 is greater than 750, so the numerator is more and denominator is less again. 3400 is very less than 18,500. Okay, so over here Arhar is the highest. So A is the highest among all of them. So Arhar A is the highest, and that's the answer option here. So we'll now look at this second question of the set. The question says price volatility of a commodity is defined as follows. PV is equal to highest price during the period minus lowest price during the period divided by average price during the period. What is the commodity with the lowest price volatility? So the highest price minus lowest price upon average price. So if I start to calculate exact values, it is very difficult for me. So I'll make certain assumptions and we'll calculate on that. So if you look at it, for Arhar, the highest price is 2300, that I know, and the lowest price almost is this point, which is 1500. So highest price minus lowest price is 2300 minus 1500, that is 800 divided by, now for an average price, if you look at it, the 1900 line if I see, over here, which is this line, almost like half the data is above and half the data is below. So we'll assume the average to be somewhere near 1900. Okay, it might be slightly greater than 1900 or less than 1900. So that is the price volatility for Arhar. Now we look at for pepper. For pepper, the highest price is 19,500. Lowest price is just lower than 17,500. So 17,500 and 19,500, difference is 2,000. And I'll add certain bit of it, so the difference might be 2200. It might be 17,300, maybe like that. So the difference between highest and lowest is taken to be 2200. And average, if you look at it, I'll take the average, can take the average at 18,500. If I take a line like this, maybe half the data is above, half the data is below, somewhere like that. Also, if you look at it, it might be even slightly higher than 18,500. So for our purposes, we'll take 18,500. Okay, so this is roughly the price volatility of pepper. Now for sugar, if I find highest is just above 1500, lowest is just above 1400. So the difference is 100, highest minus lowest. And if I take the average, average will be somewhere around 1450, like between these lines. If I find maybe half the data is lying above and half the data is lying below. So around 1450 is the average. So 100 by 1450 is the price volatility of sugar. Now for gold, finally, if you look at it, highest is 4300, lowest is 3800. So difference is 500 divided by, again if you look at the average, should be somewhere around 4000, like this line. Half the data is lying above, half the data, it might be even greater than 4000. Okay, so 4050 it might be. Something like this maybe. So we'll take 4000 as of now for our reference. So now if you look at it, 100 is a good number from where I can start and start to compare. 100 upon 1450, and if I compare 800 upon 1900. So this I multiply by 8, numerator and denominator. So the numerator becomes 800. The denominator will definitely be greater than 1900 here. 1450 into 8 is definitely greater than 1900. So denominator is bigger and numerator is the same. So that means sugar is less than Arhar. So Arhar cannot be the answer. We have to find the one with the lowest price volatility. So sugar is lower than Arhar for sure. Okay, because it is 800 by 1900 and it is 800 divided by 1450 into 8, which is greater than 1900. Now we will compare sugar and pepper. So I will just remove this 8 and 8. So when I compare sugar and pepper, the above numerator I will multiply by 22 and the denominator by 22. So the numerator becomes 2200 and denominator is 1450 into 22. So 1450 into 22 will definitely be greater than 18,500, because even if you do 1000 into 22, it becomes 22,000. Okay, so if 1000 into 22 is 22,000, 1450 into 22 will be much more than that, and that will definitely be greater than 18,500. So sugar over here will have a lower price volatility than pepper, because numerator are same and denominator is bigger in sugar. So pepper is also ruled out. And finally, if I compare sugar and gold, you multiply 100 by 5, so you get 500, and you do 1450 into 5, that will be greater than 4000 again. So that is why sugar over here will again be the lower value than gold in terms of price volatility. So gold is also ruled out. So sugar over here is the answer. That is the one with the lowest price volatility. So answer option C, sugar, is correct here. All right. Now we look at the next question. Now the next question says, Mr. X, a fund manager with an investment company, invested 25% of his funds in each of the 4 commodities at the beginning of the period. He sold the commodities at the end of the period. His investments in the commodity resulted in. So let us assume arhar, pepper, sugar and gold. He invests 100 rupees in each of them. Okay, that is like 25% in each of them. Now if you look at the options are very far away, 17% profit, 5.5% loss, no profit, no loss, 5.4% profit. So I can make certain assumptions and might try to find out a ballpark answer which will give us, and then we can figure out the answer from here. So now here I'll rub all this off. Investing 100 rupees in each of them, let's see the percentage return that the person gets. So now 100 rupees first invested on arhar. So if you invest 1700 on arhar at the starting, almost 1700, you get almost 2150 back. Okay, so you're getting 450 on 1700 back. Okay, so if you're investing 100 on it, you multiply it by 100, how much you get back? So this zero goes away. 450 upon 17 if I do. So 17 ones are 17 twos are some number. So 20% is 340. 25% roughly you will get. Okay, so you'll get 25% almost back. Okay, because 17 into 2 is 17 into 20 is 340, and further from 340 you have to go to 450, so 110 further, maybe more than 25%, let's say 27% around that. But for our calculation, because the answer options were very wide away, so we will assume say roughly 25% profit you make here, 25% profit on the arhar part. So I will say 25% equal to, almost equal to it is, so 25% profit. Now on pepper, you go from this 18,500 almost and you end up at 19,250, let's say. So you're making from 18,500 to 19,250 is 700, 500, 725. Even if you go from 18,500 to 19,500, that's 100, and below 250 is 750, we'll assume roughly, let's say 750 at 18,500, and if you multiply it by 100, what is the percentage term you get? It is 750 upon 185. So 185 into 7 if I do, okay, that will be definitely more than that. 185 into 5 if I do, roughly 18 5s are 90, it's not even 5% then over here. 185 into 4 if I do, 185, 18 4s are is 72, so roughly 4%, around about. So around about 4% profit. Okay, 750 upon 185 is roughly 4. So around about 4% profit. Sugar, almost you start and end at the same price. So 1440 and 1430. So I'll assume it to be 0%, like no profit, no loss here in sugar. And finally for gold, you start with let's say 4250, but you are at a loss. You come down to 3850. Okay, so from 4250 you are at 3850 roughly. So like a loss of 400. It's a loss situation. And what is the percentage? Because start from 4250 into 100. Okay, so this goes. So basically 400 and 4250, somewhere around 8% loss, I can assume, almost 8% loss. So if you have invested 100 rupees on arhar, you're making 25% profit on arhar. So from 100, 25% profit is you make 25 rupees. So plus 25 on arhar. On pepper you make 4% profit, so plus 4 on pepper. On sugar you make 0%, almost 0%, so you don't make anything on sugar. And on gold you lose 8%, that means you lost 8 rupees. So on 100, what do you get? 25 here, 4 here, 0 here, and you lose 8 here. So overall in the 400, what do you get? 25 plus 4, 29, minus 8 is 21. Okay, so on the 400 you make 21. So 21 upon 400 into 100. Roughly that should be your answer. So it is roughly 21 by 4, which is, and it's a profit scenario because you are making money. 21 rupees is made on this 400. So almost 5.5%, 5.4% kind of a profit. Almost a 5% profit we get. So a 5% profit almost is answer option D. So that is the right answer option here. Okay. So now this is the final question of this set. The question says the price volatility of the commodity with the highest price volatility during this period is approximately equal to. So we know that price volatility is highest minus lowest upon average. So we actually calculated the price volatility almost when we compared, and we found that sugar had the lowest one. We will not even bother about calculating for sugar. So price volatility, if we calculate now, for Arhar, the highest minus lowest is 2300 and 1500, almost 800, divided by the average we took nearly 1900. Okay, nearly 1900. Okay, then for pepper, highest minus lowest is 19,500 and this is almost 17,300. So 2200 divided by average is almost 18,500. That is what we took. So over here it is 0% almost sugar. So sugar, and we calculated it is the lowest. We need not calculate for sugar. For gold, the price volatility is from 4,300 and the lowest is 3,800. So it is 500 and the average was somewhere around 4,000. So now if I compare Arhar and pepper first, if I multiply this by 3 in the numerator and denominator, this becomes 2,400 divided by 5,700. The price volatility. So over here if I compare Arhar and pepper, the numerator 2400 is greater than 2200 and denominator is less than 18,500. So that means Arhar value will be more than that of pepper. So price volatility of Arhar is greater than that of pepper. So pepper is thus ruled out because we don't need to calculate it for pepper. Now for gold and Arhar, if I compare, if I multiply this by 8, numerator and denominator, what do I get is 4,000, or even just what I'll do is I'll multiply this by 8 is much better, we'll get the LCM. It is 4,000 divided by 32,000. 4 8s are 32. And if I multiply this by 5, then multiply this by 5, numerator and denominator, that is again 4,000 and 1900 into 5. Like even if it's almost 2,000 into 5, it's 10,000, but it's 9,500. So if you look at it, price volatility over here is 4,000 by 9,500 and here it is 4,000 by 32,000. So this is much more. And also now if you look at it, we have to find, so this is also ruled out. So highest one is of Arhar, which is 4,500 upon 9,500. So almost equal to 40% price volatility. So over here if you look at it, the answer is that it is approximately equal to 40%. Rest of the answers are very far away from 40%. So answer option B, 40% is the highest and it is of Arhar. This is also what we have figured out. Alright, so that's all about this set.